Eric has a question here. Geoff, will you please share more information about the Eco-Farming Hamlet you are planning at Zaytuna Farm? Details about small communities like this are so important for those of us seeking to build them. And I feel that small communities are the best way to live and share an abundant life. Well, we're more than planning it, we've planned it, we're installing it. So we're just about to tar the road at the front, which is one of the council requirements. But what we've done here is we've spent nearly 17, 18 years developing this property and teaching as we've developed it. But we could have put that in a lot faster. So we've put in over 25 dams, 3 kilometres of swale, 3 kilometres of cattle laneway, many features, and we've got an education centre. That's where I'm sitting now. We have a commercial kitchen, we have a small laundrette, we have a student's kitchen, we have a student's lounge room, internet cafe. We have 6 showers, 6 toilets, 10 camping shelters, and we have permission to build 5 accommodation cabins with 2 bedrooms in each. And that's already approved as an ecotourism resort within the property. Added to that is a dairy, a commercial permaculture nursery, which can be expanded, Zone 1 large kitchen garden, which could be extended with medicinal herbs, car parks, driveway, a large commercial shed for tractors and farm equipment, and a large workshop shed and an office. So inside the 66 acres is about 15 acres of separate economic business generator through education, camping, accommodation, nursery, commercial kitchen, and many, many other potential enterprises. So we have permission, that's already approved, but on top of that, we have permission for 8 houses, and they have to be defined by council, and they have been, and positioned in relation to the landscape and mainly the grey water release points. So here we're allowed, we're encouraged, or it's actually only legal to have septic and a reed bed and then a leach field for your grey water, and they have to be a distance from perennial or seasonal valley flows of water. So my house is already in position, and that will be one of the 8 shares, and then the 7 other houses have been defined, and they're internal access roads, and they've been stipulated by council. They've given about a half-acre house site position, so the each house can be adjusted only within that half-acre, and that's actually already on the title. That's how it works in Australia. It's called a rural land sharing community when developed like this. And then each of the 8 shareholders will be an equal owner of the property and have to be involved in the management of the property. There's an 82-page constitution of how we would like people to live when they buy in, and they buy into the property on the understanding that that's the constitution of how they are agreeing to live within the property, which is very ethical. And the way we personally, the developers of the property, would prefer to live with people. You buy in as a shareholder, and you have you've purchased the ability to lease the right to build a house on that house site. So and that's a renewable lease every 99 years. So it's a perpetual renewable lease. So you can then build a house to council standard. It has to be the local government council standard. You have to provide your own energy, your own water, so you're cut off from electricity. You have to provide your own electricity. You have to provide your own water. But we have enough irrigation water for you, so you have plenty of irrigation water from all our irrigation network. If you start to live in a way that is outside of the Constitution, the shareholders of the property have an ability to remove the right for you to occupy that house. You still own it, but you can't live in it in a way that's outside our constitutional guidelines. You can rent it to someone else who wants to live that way, or you have to sell it to someone who does want to live within the guidelines. This is the way we can control the people who come in and we live with. So there's a basic guideline, an ethical permaculture guideline of how we would like everybody to live. Then outside of that, within our own constitution, I've outlined what we call a curtilage around each house site, the area that you could use for your own personal use. And I've allowed the landscape to describe that curtilage area. And it's just literally the common sense area defined by contours and land slopes. And they're very different in size and very different in shape, but they actually conform with the landscape itself. Not everybody will want to use all of it, and we can define what you want to use and what you don't want to use when you buy in can be managed by the common property. So the common property will have forest and grazing mostly. People may want to lease extra areas for commercial cropping, or maybe other purposes, and all that can be decided by the shareholders. The commercial enterprise in the middle of the property, which is the education centre, the campsite, the accommodation, the commercial kitchen, like I've mentioned before, it's already in position, it's already a income generator, and it will more or less pay all the bills. We'll be able to pay all the government taxes, the rates, the insurance, and probably employ someone to maintain the commercial area so it looks nice and presentable and well kept. And the main difference here between this property and other properties that are developed like this is the mainframe design's already been done. We've already developed all the water storage systems. There could be more, but there's plenty here. We've already defined the grazing areas, the forestry areas, the wilderness areas, the protected areas, the commercial development areas, the main driveway, the main car parks, you know, the power use systems. So we have already created most of the infrastructure, the biological infrastructure needed for this to be a very abundant place. So there's no debate about this. It's already, most of it's already in position. We've lived here for a while. We know the general climatic conditions, so we can advise anybody coming in. Obviously, there'll be consultancy available. So it makes it a sort of smooth transition from people who haven't had experience in living in communities or in rural districts, living a more alternative life. It gives you a much easier transition in. You're well supported by the design that's already in position, and you're pretty sure it's well tested. And we could repeat this very easily anywhere, and we can consult on these sort of processes to develop land in a very sustainable and way that's environmentally sustainable and economically sustainable as well, so people can have a very easy, healthy environmental life. By using permaculture design planning, any of us could develop a property like this. So to go in and look at water access structures and develop a main frame of a property. So there's no arguing about what should be developed first and where areas should be settled. Then you can really have a very successful community, because everybody is unified in the understanding of the way the water pattern also defines the access patterns and then facilitates the different infrastructure positions of housing. So if we can consult on this for people, we can really make very valuable communities everywhere on earth, and any of us can do this.